Welcome back to another character camp tutorial. I'm so excited to have you guys back again. Today we are going to be talking about how to depict emotion in a character. So all month we've been learning how to develop characters, how to draw them, how to draw animal characters, inanimate objects as characters, even how to age characters, how to make them look different ages. And now we're going to talk about how to kind of put that character to work and put it to the test, because if you're making a character, you're going to need it to be able to emote, or otherwise it's not going to be able to really kind of it's not going to engage with the reader, the viewer, and it's not going to be able to really tell its story if it just kind of has the same face throughout the whole story or animation or whatever it is. So this kind of stuff is really, really important. And this week is all about doing emotions and actions as well, and kind of putting your character into a situation that would make them feel that emotion. And of course, you'll find that based on your character profile, which we'll talk about in a minute. But first of all, I wanted to say that this character camp series is a part of the Making Art Everyday project. It's a series of daily drawing prompts, tutorials, motivational emails, and a really awesome supportive community, all with the goal of helping you establish a daily art making practice. So every month we do a theme, and this month's theme is characters. So we've been doing characters all month, and it's been really awesome. But if you want to learn to draw better, you'll want to draw more, and this is what helps you do that. So if you want to learn more, go to bardotbrush.com/joinMAE, and I'm sure Jeff will share a link in the chat. All right, and so before we get started, I wanted to say last year in July, actually, we did the people skills series. So we did a whole month of making art every day focused on people, and I did lessons going through all the different body parts, facial features, and how to draw all that stuff. And we also did a whole week on emotions and expressions. So a lot of what I am kind of putting into practice comes from this tutorial. And it's a really fun tutorial, just how to like manipulate the facial features. You can see here's a bunch of the different faces, how to manipulate the facial features in order to make them portray those different emotions and expressions. So I'm just gonna real quick show you how to find that. If you go to our website, bardotbrush.com, and you go to tutorials, there should be a link to people skills right here, and you'll find that whole series. And there's lessons for eyes, nose, mouth, like all these different things. Is each a lesson. They each have their own video. There's an intro, and then this week is expressions. So if you go to any of those lessons, you'll find that tutorial. And then there's also info about, about that expression. And then also this really cool table of expressions, which is just like the same information, but in like an easy to read format. That's all like right there. Nice and organized, and you get that tutorial. So I highly recommend watching that, reading through some of this stuff. That's really going to help you figure out how to depict those expressions. And in this tutorial, we're going to put those ideas to work into a character. So let me go back. Okay, so I wanted to show you, I've had this little character camp girl. She's kind of been my little mascot for this whole series. And so I decided to draw her depicting all the different emotions that we're going to be going through. And at the core, there are a few different emotions that are, there's a few different emotions that are at the core of all the other emotions. And even here you can see like there's happy and there's ecstatic, there's like sad, and there's like anguished, scared and terrified. Like there's different levels of each of the emotion, but at the core there's really just a few emotions. So I've kind of picked those emotions for us to focus on. So I'm going to go through them. The first one is joy. So she's a little hiker camper girl. I put her in a situation that would bring her joy, which for me would be seeing a beautiful rainbow. That always brings me a lot of joy. So just kind of figuring out who this character is and what brings them joy, and then kind of putting them in a scene that depicts that. And she's just on a hike. She's super relaxed, just happy. This one is sadness. So the trail is closed, bummer. She's really bummed out about that. She's really excited about her hike, but now she can't go. So you might have to find something else to do. So that's her in a very sad state of mind. This is disgust. maybe she goes hiking, she's out, but she doesn't love the mud. I thought about drawing this as if she had stepped in poop or something, but I decided to go for mud. But yeah, that might cause her to have a disgusted expression. And then anger. Yeah, she's all about the environment. And she walked down the trail and saw this mess. Some really, I have words for this kind of person that would leave trash on the trail. And that makes her very, very angry too. So that's what would cause this character to have anger. I didn't change the title there, but this is supposed to be surprise. And this, I don't know, I thought she might be surprised if like this bird had landed on her finger, or maybe even like the bird is talking to her somehow. And she's just very surprised by that. So that's kind of the situation that's happening there. So that should be surprise. And I also wanted to show you, because as I was making these drawings, I was showing them to my kids just to see if like, I just showed them a drawing and if they could figure out what the emotion was, then I've done my job and I've depicted it well. And this one is the one that I had to go back and redo, and I'll show you what that looked like. So this is the first time that I did that, and that was the expression. And I showed it to my kids and they're like, I'm scared. You know, they were kind of confused. They didn't know what it meant. So I took that to mean that I didn't do a very good job getting that expression down. And if you look at her, she looks kind of concerned, maybe. I don't know. But on this one, all I did was I changed the shape of her mouth to be a little more elongated. And then I also made her pupils a little more constricted, a little bit smaller. And if you look at that emotions tutorial I have, and those are kind of like the key things you need to do to make somebody look surprised. So it's such a big difference. Just a tiny little changes on the facial expression can make such a big difference in the expression. So I wanted to show you guys that. All right. So as I was talking with you about that character and how we want to dig into who that character is so we can figure out how they're going to be making that emotions, what causing them to make that emotion. That's all comes from the character profile. So I have this free character profile template on my website. It's on the Character Camp page. And you can download it and fill it out for your character so you can figure out what they look like, what their background is, and then of course their personality. And that's what's going to tell you what's going to cause those emotions. And so this is my profile for the character I've been drawing all month, Dolores. So I thought I would focus on the emotion disgust for this particular video. So I looked to what she dislikes, which is being interrupted, cotton candy, and parties. Those are the things I had decided were a part of her personality. So I thought I would do, she's being disgusted by cotton candy. I thought that would be a fun drawing to do. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. And I like cotton candy, guys, by the way. I don't like cotton candy flavored things. It's weird. But I do like cotton candy. And this is my character again, just to give you guys a refresher. This is like what she looked like. This is what was the result of spending a week figuring out her accessories, her clothing, her hair, her face and body shape, and then putting it all together. So this is what she looks like, and this is what I'm going to be going off of. All right, there it is. We're gonna go ahead and get into drawing now. So let me go ahead and open up Procreate, and I'm gonna create a new canvas. I always put this stuff too close. We're gonna go ahead and create a new canvas. I'm gonna be using a canvas that is 3500 by 2800 pixels, 3800 by 3500 by 2800. That's what I said. Well, okay. So here's what I imagined for this scene. I thought she could be, and this would be easier if you could see my face, but I thought she would be like holding the cotton candy, kind of like holding it away from her, like somebody had given it to her. They're like, hey, little girl, you love cotton candy. And she's like, ugh, like kind of like backed off of it. So that's kind of the situation that I want to depict in this. So actually, it's kind of hard to like just sit down and you could maybe see it in your head, but to actually like draw it might be a little bit harder. So what I usually do is take pictures of myself kind of doing that pose or doing that, facial expression. So I actually did that, and these aren't the best photos, but I'm gonna Okay, so this is me taking like a selfie and holding like something, which would be the cotton candy, and just going, "Rrr." So I can kind of get like, I see that the body is kind of tilted away from the object, and like the face is kind of turned to the side, but also like, you know, not tilted quite towards it. I'm not looking directly at it. I'm kind of like backed away. So looking at this helps me know like what I need to do in order to draw what I want to draw. So very attractive photo of myself for you guys. All right.
What size canvas are you working with?
Yeah, this was 3,500 by 2,800. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. And this is good because this is going to show you how I like set up, well, just follow along, you'll see. So I'm using like a kind of a middle dark gray, and then I'm using just a pencil brush to do my sketch. If you notice here, I actually have pencil box update that I'm working on for my pencil box set. I've been working on this for a while, and I'm excited for that to come out, sneak peek. But you can use any sketching brush you want. So I'm gonna start with her head, and I'm gonna do kind of like an upper body kind of a thing, and then have the cotton candy over here. So, all right, I'm gonna start with the head, which was kind of tilted this way, and her head is very long, elongated, kind of a head shape. And then her body, you know, the body was kind of like tilted that way, so I'll kind of draw a little line to give me a guide. And if I remember from when I did the body shape section of building a character, it was just kind of like a rectangular shape for her body. So starting with some really simple shapes just to kind of get the positioning down. And then we'll go back and refine it, but I'm just gonna add her arms. And the way that I usually add on arms is I draw like kind of where the arm shoulder joints would be, and then I draw some stick arms, kind of doing what I want them to do. Something kind of like that. And then she's gonna be holding the cotton candy, which kind of has this like oval-y shape like that. There we go. So that's, and then this arm isn't really, maybe it's kind of like back, like she's pushed her arm back a little bit. She's like, ah. So this is kind of like the really basic setup for like the positioning of the body. And this is kind of, if I'm doing a pose, this is kind of what I do. I usually draw the head, the body, and then like kind of sticks for the arms, just so I can get them in the position that they want. And then I go back and refine it. So that's what we're gonna be doing next. So I'll start with, we'll add a neck. I think the neck might be a little bit too long. I think my character had a bigger her head was bigger than this, so I'm actually gonna make her whole body a little bit smaller. I'm gonna select all of that. And
can we make the line work a little darker?
Yeah, I'm gonna come back in and make it a little darker, guys. Sorry if you can't see that. All right, let me just get that where I want it to be. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in and start adding darker lines on top. So I draw these first lines really, really light so that I can draw darker lines on top of it and they won't be so distracting. The next thing that I'm gonna focus on, if you guys remember from the aging tutorial, we always added a line down the middle of the face and then a line where the eye line is, like that, which is straight lines if the face is going straight forward. But since she is looking this way, I'm actually gonna need to make her face at an angle. And some people are asking, like, how do I do a face at an angle? And this is what I'm gonna be doing today. So her nose is kind of here. So I'm gonna draw a line that kind of curves that way. And it's kind of defining the shape of this orb, you know, this elongated sphere. And then for the eye line, you're gonna draw it like that. So now, we're making this into more of like a 3D shape. So these lines are starting to curve around this circle. And I think those are pretty good. So her eyes are gonna be here, her nose is gonna be here. And then her head will probably have a little more volume back here. And let me see. So the other thing is the face. When you're doing the face at an angle, it kind of dips in a little bit where the eyes are gonna be. This might be easier if I draw the eyes. I'm just gonna draw some big ovals. She has big ovally eyes. And then her nose, which kind of goes like that. And I wonder if I have a, it's probably easy if you pull up a picture. Oh, there's me again, of your character, which I have. I don't have. All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna get a picture of my character and I'm gonna put it in split screen view. So let me find her. There she is. I'm gonna go ahead and swipe to the left and then choose share and then choose JPEG or PNG, doesn't matter. And then I'm just gonna save it to my camera roll. And now I'm gonna go back to my picture I was working on. And then I'm gonna swipe down from the bottom and pull up the Photos app. Just grab it and pull it over here. Make it a little smaller. And there we go. So now, this is always good to have a reference of the character that you're doing. So when you draw it again differently, you can make sure you're being consistent. So her nose kind of pops up like that. And then her mouth for a disgusted expression is gonna kind of be in like a frown. Like that, with like her tongue like blah, hanging out like that. That's what I'm gonna do. Maybe a little smaller tongue. Kind of like that. And then we need to do the eyes as well. So the thing with the eyes and a disgusted expression is they kind of like squint up. You might have seen that in that photo I did of myself. So like the bottoms of the eyes are gonna squish up. So I'm just gonna kind of erase away the bottoms of the eye shape, and then kind of also erase away kind of the top of it as well. So that kind of looks like more of like squinty eye expression. And then of course we need to figure out where, oh, my dog is here today, guys. Just noticed, he's not usually in here. She's gazing here, so her eyes are kind of, they're not gonna be over here because that would be looking that way. We wanna figure out, she's looking right at that cotton candy that she doesn't like. She has nice big pupils, so something like that. And we'll kind of refine it, so it'll get us going. Doesn't have to be perfect for this initial sketch. And then she's kind of like, ugh, her little eyebrows are tilted in. I can also pull up that. Let's see, disgusted. So here's disgusted, you guys. So eyes are kind of squinted, blah, like that. You got a kind of ruffled brow. The brows are down. So that's kind of what I'm going for here. We might even squint her eyes a little bit more, but I'll keep going. Okay, so I'm gonna define the edge of her face now. And like I started to say, the face kind of dips in where the eyes are, and then it kind of puffs out just a little bit where the cheeks are. So kind of like that. So it goes whoop, whoop. So that's how you can, if you make it round, it's gonna just look a little funny. So you kind of have to observe these little things about how the face is shaped. And lots of practice will also help you do that. So that's kind of what that's her cheek. And then we'll kind of do her face. And then of course her ear is also in line with the eye. So the ear kind of goes down like from where the eye is, kind of down to where the nose is. So, and her ears actually stick out. See, now I'm looking at my reference, forgetting how big her ears kind of stick out. So that's gonna be her ears. So that we're starting to get ahead. And then I'm gonna sketch in her hair. So her hairline is kind of there, kind of define where the hairline is, and then I can add things like her bangs, which would kind of stick out a little bit there. I'm just gonna do the basic shapes again, and then I'll add in little details like, whoops, like all this little pieces of hair and stuff. And then she's got her bun, which I'm kind of running out of room here, so let me get a little smaller. So she's got her bun on the top of her head, so I'll draw that on. It's kind of a little weird shape. There we go. And then this hair is all up in the bun. So you're gonna have those lines going back, and then her hair kind of coming down. And maybe you can see some on this side. Oops. it's looking a little weird. I'm just gonna fix it up a bit. There, that's better. Okay, so we've got and then I can come back into, I've got these basic shapes, and then I can come back in and add in things like the pieces of the hair. It's good to define those basics, because now I'm just using this as a guide to kind of draw in those extra details. Maybe we'll do it like that. I think that looks pretty good. I'm really liking her expression. There. Okay, so we've got her basic face. The other thing we need is the glasses, which I usually save those for the end once I'm really feeling refined with my sketch. I'm gonna rotate. I think her body's leaning just a bit too much, so let me see how I want to do this. I'm gonna select the body with the selection tool and just rotate it a little. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. And let's draw in her neck, shoulders, and I'll just sketch in this arm, because this arm's just gonna go, kind of goes down. You can't really see all of it. And then I'll beef up this arm a little bit. Okay. And I think this section of the arm is looking a little too long, and this is what you want to do at this point in the process, is like really refine your sketch and get the proportions and everything golden before you go and move on to coloring, because it's a lot harder to change things once it's all colored and done. Okay, and then for here, this is like, hands are hard. Having a reference is really, really important. So I did another photo of just my hand holding a pen that apparently has a rubber band around it for some reason. But just getting that position of like, you're like, oh, what's this? Yuck. Just kind of not wanting to touch it. She's just like only wants to touch it with 2 fingers. She's so disgusted by it. So seeing how the wrist bends, and I usually do my hands, again, I have a hand tutorial as well, but I start with like a trapezoidal kind of shape. So that's what I'm gonna do here. So it looks like we need the hand to kind of bend like that. And then the trapezoid, see the trapezoid ends kind of there. So we'll draw, that's kind of like the trapezoid shape. You can see that. And then we've got like a thumb situation happening, which I think our trapezoid might need to be even longer. Something like that. Sorry, like I said, hands are hard, not an easy thing. And then the thumb kind of is just holding it like that. Something like that. And then the finger is really foreshortened, so it really just looks like almost like a dot. You can't even really see much of it. And then these fingers kind of go out. And it's not perfect, but I kind of want her fingers to be a little stubbier. All right. I think that conveys the message. It's not a perfect hand, but like I get the impression that that's how she's holding it. So that's just fine in my book. But yeah, it's all about identifying what shapes you see and looking at references. References are awesome. Okay. And then her torso is just kind of her waist. I do want to define where her waist is going to be, because that'll help me put where her pants are going to go. And then maybe she's kind of tilted back like that. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just not show that much of her body. If you don't feel like drawing that much of the body, don't. Just crop it out. And I think this looks better because it's a closer in. It's not like her whole body. You can really focus on the expression and the cotton candy and not like her legs. So yeah, so this is kind of a good basic sketch. I'm gonna go through and just refine it now, and then I'm gonna color it. So I'm just gonna go to the layers menu, the little N, and then I can turn down the opacity of that sketch. And then I'm gonna create a new layer by hitting the plus sign. And there we go. And then I'm just gonna draw over the top of it, just kind of like refining everything. So I'll draw her eyes. Maybe I'll even scrunch them up a bit more. Her little eyebrows. And I don't know if these lines are gonna be in it, but it helps me define it right now, so we'll see. Let's see, maybe we make those even bigger. Color that in a bit. Good. Her little nose. And then the mouth just needs to move over a little bit. Because this line is, of course, the center of the face. So the center-ish of the mouth needs to be kind of on that line. I don't know. There we go. We'll have her tongue sticking out like that. Okay, cool. All right, and then I'll do her face. Do back here. Her big ear. If you guys have any questions while I'm filling this in, you can throw them out. Jeff, if there's any questions, I can answer some. It's kind of a slow little part here.
What would you change if you wanted to have your character be surprised?
I would look at that video I told you guys about, because a surprise expression is like, and if you go ahead right now, whoever asked that, make a surprise expression. Look in a mirror, take a selfie. Your eyes get really wide, your features spread out really far, your eyebrows go way up, and your mouth forms like a little O, and it's not like wide open, it's actually smaller than that. If you were wide open, that would probably be more like an excited expression and not surprised, which surprised is kind of like being excited. Depends on what you're surprised about. But yeah, observe. I have a whole, like, when I was making that, maybe her arms will be more rounded. When I was making that emotions tutorial, I have a whole bunch of pictures on my phone of my face making all these different expressions. It's pretty hilarious. Kind of making her fingers a little kind of short and chubby because she's young. She's like a girl. She's supposed to be like 8 or so. So we don't want to have like slender, long fingers like she would if she was an adult. And then for this cotton candy, I'm gonna actually just, I mean, it's a pretty basic shape, but I'm just gonna look up cotton candy. This is what using reference is all about. It's just basically like looking at pictures of stuff so you can see how to draw it. And it's all totally okay. So it could be, I can make it a little bit fluffier, a little more pointed on top. So maybe I'll do that. Kind of like that kind of shape. And then I'll add some like line details when I color it, but I think that looks pretty good. And then this, and then of course I also want to define her clothes. If you remember what she wears overalls with a rainbow shirt. I'm not gonna do the jacket. I'm just gonna have her wearing her overalls today. So let's draw the bib. Remember this line here that you can still kind of see is like our center line. So use it as a guide when you're putting on clothes. Like the center should be right there. She's still pretty straight on. She's only angled a little bit. And I'm not going like super stickler with perspective anyways, because this is like a simplified cartoon kind of picture. And then I think that. She's got the little belt pockets. And then her shirt. Just gonna add that on top. Okay.
So I was asking if character camp's going to continue.
Forever. Actually, I want it to continue. We're not gonna, after this month, I'm gonna be done with it for a little while, but I'm really interested in doing it again, like another round of it, another session, and like, I think it would be so fun to go through and make new characters. And like, if you go through the whole thing again, and you know, the better you're gonna get at making characters. So all the content is like there for you to make characters kind of whenever you want. But I think it would be fun to do it again and kind of expand on it. I'm gonna think about that because I really think it would be great to keep going with it. But for now, next month we're gonna move on to a different topic, so which I'm excited about. I'm not gonna share about it yet, but it's gonna be cool. All right, so there we go. I have her refined sketch. I'm gonna go ahead and just sketch in her glasses, and remember they're gonna be at an angle, so they're gonna be a little bit different. There we go, kind of like that. Maybe a little bit bigger. There we go, and then the nose, the like bridge thing. Oh, she's so cute. There we go. And then you can't really see the other like ear thing, so I'm not gonna draw it. But yeah, I think that looks like her. So, I'm gonna go ahead and start coloring now, you guys. So I can turn off this sketch at this point, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reduce the opacity of this refined sketch. I'm gonna set the blend mode to multiply. That makes it so it's easier for me to see it when I start coloring. And then I'm gonna create a new layer, and this layer is gonna go below the sketch. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead, and actually, this is another handy little tip. I'm gonna go ahead and import this picture straight onto my canvas at this point. So I'm gonna, it's good to have it here when you're referencing it because you can zoom in and then draw independently here without, yeah. But now I'm gonna bring it onto my canvas and I'll show you why. So, so I'm gonna go to add, insert a photo, that's in the actions menu. And then I'm gonna go ahead and choose that photo and I put it just kind of over here on the side. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because I'm gonna use this kind of as my color palette so I can sample colors to use in my drawing. That way I'll be super consistent with my colors. So let me go ahead and create a new layer. So I'm working on a totally new layer. And I'm gonna start with her skin. So I'm gonna go in here and select the skin tone where it's just like the flat color, not the shaded part. And then I can start doing my shapes. And I've been using my gouache paint box to do this character illustration. So of course I'm gonna use the same one because I'm trying to be consistent. Like you can imagine this is another book of the story, like another page in the book of the story. So you want it to always look consistent if you're doing it that way. Okay, good, checking my layer. So I'm gonna do her head.
Talking about brushes, do you have anything new in the works, someone asked?
Oh, I do, you guys. Like, so let me tell you, this month has been really crazy with Character Camp. I've been really busy doing all the stuff for Character Camp. But next month, I am excited to have some time to work on brushes because I have some ideas of things I want to do. I know I mentioned at the beginning, I'm working on an update. I'm trying to update all my brush sets to like be new and improved. Actually, let me turn up my, but yes, I do have some really fun ideas for like stuff that we're gonna be doing in the future. There we go. And I only have to draw up to here where her hair is gonna cover her face, so I don't have to fill it in all completely.
Which layer are we on right now?
This is a totally new layer that it's underneath the sketch layer. So I just put the face on its own layer, and then I put the neck and body on a layer underneath that. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna create a new layer underneath the face layer, since the neck is like behind the head. And then I can also use that same layer for the arms and stuff. I kind of just, unless there's like overlapping body parts like arms and stuff, I can usually put the whole body, like the skin part of the body on one layer. And only have to fill it in where it shows like that. So I'll do the arms, do this arm.
And I'm sorry, Lisa, which brush are you on again?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you. This is Opaque Round from Gouache Paint Box. And I'm just using these sketch lines as a guide, basically like tracing. using that as a tool to help me draw these colored in shapes. Okay, and then her hand. Yeah, her hand should be. What I probably, well, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. I might just do it all in one layer. Sorry, thinking out loud, you guys. Okay, and then I'll just fill this hole in. And then I'll draw the cone for the cotton candy on top of that. So I don't have to make this all connect or anything like that, but I probably should fill in right there. Is that part would? Yeah. I'll come back and refine that once I draw that cone. Okay, so I always start with the face and then the body. And then I can either start with the clothes or the hair. Maybe we'll start with the clothes. So for the clothes, I put a layer above the skin layer. So there's my new layer. And then her shirt, I'm just gonna start with this pink color. And I'm gonna draw her shirt and then I'll add the stripes in after. So I'm just basically drawing the shirt and then I'm gonna fill it in. And then I'll draw the overalls on top on another layer. Anything that goes on top of something else, but would have something, you know, like if it's on top of something else, I usually put that on another layer. That allows me to independently work on that and adjust colors and add texture. So now I can just fill that in. So she's got a shirt. I'm gonna add the stripes in a little bit, but first I'm gonna add in the overalls. So I'm gonna go ahead and sample that color and do the overalls on another layer. So here they come.
Do you normally do the clothes or the hair last?
You know, it's just kind of whatever I want. It doesn't really matter what I do first. I always do the face and the like skin first. And I kind of work on the like bottommost layer and then work up if there's gonna be like a lot of layers. Like that's why I did the shirt first and then I do the overalls on top of that, so I make sure I'm covering up the right parts of the shirt with the overalls and stuff like that. So the workflow isn't necessarily by, you know, subject matter, like face versus clothes or whatever, hair. It's just kind of like building on the layers one on top of the other. So now I can do the hair. So I'm gonna sample the hair color, which is probably pretty similar pink to that. And that's gonna go on a layer on top of the face. So we'll create a new layer on top of the face layer. And then I'm going to create the shapes for her hair. And this is kind of my workflow for how I illustrate just about everything. I usually do a sketch and then I go in and do basic shapes in flat color. And then I add texture and then details like line work and stuff like that. And it's kind of my workflow. You'll see me use it a lot. It's not what everybody does. I've seen some artists who like they do it in a very painterly way, which I've done a painterly tutorial where you just kind of like keep working at stuff on the same layer and like painting over stuff and painting over stuff. But I really like using things like alpha lock and layers and stuff. So that's what I do.
So does the sketching layer normally go on top or underneath?
I put it on top because I like to be able to see the lines as I'm working. And if it were underneath, it would start to get hidden as I draw over it. And I like to be able to see those at all times. And I turn it on and off, like so I can make sure things are looking good without the sketch interfering. Like I do that periodically.
Now, does it normally go, is it normally underneath sometimes as well? Because we've seen you do that before.
It's only ever underneath when I'm refining the sketch, then I draw the new sketch layer on top. But usually when I'm coloring, I almost always keep that on top. Oh, see, okay, here is where I did it differently than I normally do, but that's okay, I'll keep going. Sometimes I do this hair, if there's hair behind the head, I'll put it on a layer behind the neck, but I didn't. So I'll just erase away wherever it overlaps a little bit. You'll see in a minute. I'm gonna have that actually connect like that. Yeah, keep the questions coming, guys. Especially when I'm doing something like this, it takes a while. Yeah, see, it would be better if this was on a layer. Maybe I'll move it. It'd be better if this was on a layer behind her face. So, and now I'm just kind of closing off the shape and coloring it in. Maybe my threshold's not up enough. There you go. Okay, so yeah, I could do this a couple different ways. Maybe I'll actually just select this and cut it and paste it onto another layer.
Someone was asking, why don't you wear a drawing glove?
Oh, good question. I tried one. Somebody sent it to me. They're like, hey, try this. And I tried it. I didn't like it. It took away some of my fingers because it's not touch sensitive. I don't know. I just didn't like it. I know I've seen some artists use it, but I'm not a fan. I just like having my fingers. And like, it's got palm rejection, so it hasn't really been an issue for me. Like, and I have a matte screen protector, and that helps it be smooth as well. So I'm going to swipe down with 3 fingers to pull up the copy paste menu, and I'm just going to cut and paste it. So it puts it on a new layer, and then I'm putting it beneath. So see, it's behind her neck now. And then I don't mind it. I didn't actually draw her ear, so I need to draw her ear. So let me go ahead and do that. You guys always remind me when I forget stuff. There we go. I'll draw that, and then I'll just erase away this little bit here. There we go. Okay, that's better. And then let's do the cotton candy. There's gonna be a lot of pink in this drawing. I'll put that on another layer as well. It doesn't really matter. It just needs to be above the hands. Let's see, cotton candy. It's a very pinky pink, light pink. Maybe something like that. Oh, maybe lighter than that, I think. Maybe even lighter. Yeah, that works for now. We'll try it. And, okay, I'm gonna draw a basic shape, and then I might come back and add, like with a textured brush, something that would be more of a cotton candy texture, so it's not something with smooth edges. But for now, I'm just gonna lay down this shape, and I'll come back to it. I'll revisit it in a minute. And then the stick of the cotton candy is usually white. And since I'm working on a white background, I'm gonna just turn off the background for a moment. I'll turn that off too, so that I can draw in that shape. And I'm gonna put that on its own layer as well. So that's gonna be on a layer beneath the cotton candy. And I'm just gonna draw that. It's a little hard to see your sketch lines when you have the background turned off, but it's okay. And then I'm gonna use, if I tap and hold the eraser, it will select the same brush I was using for the brush as the eraser, so I can like erase this and get it really pointy. There we go. And then I can also erase here where her finger kind of overlaps. I'll just erase a little bit away. And then the thumb, a little bit too much. There. There we go. Now it looks like she's holding it. So I'll do the face next. That's my last of the basic shapes. Let's turn the background back on. There we go. And the layer with her. So the facial features I'm gonna put above, on a new layer above the face. And I'll start with the eyes. Oops, that's the eraser. And then I think I'll probably use the eraser to kind of, I don't know, we'll see. And then this one. I can't see. Can't see what I'm doing. And the eye actually does, if you're looking at it from the side, it does actually stick out because it's a round shape, remember, it's a sphere. Kind of does stick out. If it's on the edge of the face, it does stick out a little bit, so it wouldn't curve in like the face curves in. Kind of would stick out a bit. There we go. Okay, and then for her pupils, I'm gonna create another layer, and I'm going to create a clipping mask of that layer. So I'm gonna tap it and hit clipping mask, and that way, whatever I draw will be within that eye shape. I'll grab that color I used for the eyes. So I can't draw beyond what I've already drawn now. And I like to put the pupils on a separate layer because if I ever need to adjust her gaze or something, they're on another layer and I can I can move them around. So if I need to adjust where she's looking, I can change that, or if I didn't get quite the shape just right. That's why I keep it on another layer. And then I can actually put the rest, actually I'm gonna create another layer for the rest of the facial features. So we'll do her nose. And for the facial feature details, I switched to the detail liner brush. That's the brush that I use for a lot of the details. I use a couple different ones, but that's the one I use for the face. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw like her nose. Let's see, her ears we can do here. Oops. Let's put that above the hair. Okay. And the color her eyebrows are like this like brownish color. And they kind of were a little, you could kind of see the hair a little bit thick eyebrows. But her eyebrows really help tell the story of this expression. So in this picture, in this view, they're kind of covered up by the glasses, but especially since they're lowered, you can see them now. But I also really want to make sure you can see them because they really help portray that emotion. And then look at her mouth. And then her tongue as well. Let's see. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn on alpha lock because I want it to line up with the edge here where the tongue comes out of the mouth, or where it's still kind of coming from in the mouth. But then when it comes out, I can turn off alpha lock and draw the rest of it. So that way this is perfect, and then it also extends outside of the mouth. I need to turn back on to fill in that little bit. Alpha lock is super handy. Blah. With her little tongue. Okay, what else? Really just her glasses are the only other detail. So I'll go ahead and do those on another layer. Use a lot of layers, you guys. I love separating things out into layers because it makes it so I can go back and change anything that I need to. Okay, let's see if we can do good, nice round shape. I'll have to erase that where it goes over her nose. And then this goes kind of behind the ear. And then I'll just erase right there.
And what brush are you on for the line work that you're doing right now?
This one is detail liner. Oops. What did I just do? Erase. There we go. Then it looks like it's behind her nose. All right, how are we doing, you guys? Okay, so I'm gonna go in and do all the detail work, like shading and stuff. But if there's questions, you guys, since you've seen me do this a few times in some of the other tutorials, I'm gonna do it all. But if you have questions, feel free to ask, and I'm just gonna dig in and start doing it. So I'm gonna turn on Alpha Lock. I'm gonna start with the face. This is how I do my face shading. I'm gonna turn on Alpha Lock on the face layer. I'm just gonna edit right on that layer. Select the face color and then choose a color that's a little darker, a little more saturated. And then for the shading, I was using my light brush strokes brush from Gouache Paint Box at a reduced opacity, so like half-ish opacity, and then kind of just painting in some shadows. I'm imagining the light's coming from this direction, so there'd be some shadows on this side. And I'm gonna go a little bit less opacity so I can blend it in even more.
And I'm sorry, Lisa, which brush again? For
this was light brush strokes. Light brush strokes. And then under her hair, there'd be a little bit of shadow because her hair, of course, is cast a shadow down. So I'm just gonna add a little bit darker there. Kind of under her brows, might be a little darker. Not a ton of shading, maybe right here by her nose. And then I'm gonna move on to her neck. That's usually where I go next. I start adding a little shading on the face, and then I go to the neck. So I'm gonna swipe to the right with 2 fingers to turn on Alpha Lock on the neck layer, and her neck casts a shadow. So there's usually like kind of this triangular shadow, but it's gonna be even darker than the face shadow. So, oops, too dark. A little bit darker. There we go. So that gives some separation between her head and her neck. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add some shading to the arms and stuff. I'm gonna turn the background layer back on. So I'm gonna get a darker, more saturated color. And just add some shadows underneath her arms and on the back side of this arm. And then also where the cone might be casting a shadow, but it'll be a really small shadow on her hand. And maybe the bottoms of her fingers, and then here, of course. And I'm go even darker. The closer something is to the next thing, the darker kind of the shadow is gonna be. And I'll use a little line work to define that little space right there. There we go. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna do her shirt. So her shirt, I'm gonna add some stripes to it. So I'll show you how I do that. So I'm gonna go to the shirt layer and I'm gonna turn on Alpha Lock. So swipe to the right with 2 fingers, there we go. Then I'm gonna get the next color of the stripe, and I'm just gonna use opaque round for that. It's that nice smooth brush. And I'm just going to, I'm just gonna draw a stripe like this. I'm not gonna worry about the sleeves yet. I'll come back to that. And then I'll get the next color.
Are you gonna be adding any reflection to the glasses, Lisa?
I don't know. I didn't last time because it kind of was distracting for her facial features. So I don't know. Undecided. I know you guys asked about that last time. All right, there we go. I think I'm just gonna make her shirt be these like 3 colors maybe, or 4 colors. Pink, orange, green, yellow. But I do need to make them striped all the way down. And I said, again, I'm not worrying about her sleeves yet. Those stripes actually, pardon me, go a different direction, so. Okay, keep going. All right, that's her shirt. And now I can come back in. I could do this a couple different ways. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna paint away most of this back to pink. Kind of doing this on the fly. We'll do the whole thing. And then I'm gonna create another layer, and this layer is gonna be a clipping mask. So it's only gonna draw in the sleeve shape, the shirt shape, and I'm gonna draw the stripes going the other way. So we'll start with yellow, and then green. It's okay that it's overlapping because I can erase it away because it's on another layer. That is what's super handy about layers. Green, orange, and yellow. And then I can like erase away that much. So it looks like the sleeve's going the other way. And then maybe we'll start with green on this side. And then what's next? Oh, then pink. So then we need orange, yellow, yellow, and green. Cool. And then I just need to erase away. There. Ta-da! And then the other thing that's on her shirt is she has like the rings, you know, like those shirts that are ringed, a ringed tee. So I'm just gonna put that little detail on a new layer. Just a little, whoop, like that. And on the sleeves, erase that, make it straight. There we go. Cool. So her shirt is all done. I'm gonna work on her pants. Again, if you guys have questions, just let me know. I'm gonna go to the overall layer. I'm gonna start by adding some texture. So I'm gonna use Alpha Lock, swipe to the right with 2 fingers. And for the texture on the pants, I used the Dottie Gouache Grain brush. And this is a brush that adds some like brush strokey kind of texture, but it also does this kind of cool texture. So, so I'm just gonna go over it. I haven't even changed the color at all, and it puts on a subtle texture even if you're using the same exact color. So that's what I'm starting off with. And then I'm gonna go a little darker so I can get like the sides. She doesn't really need a lot of shading on her pants. It's pretty flat. Maybe I'll give it another pass to add some more texture. The more contrast in the colors you put in your texture, the more intense that texture is gonna look. But it's just jeans, so I'm not making them super textured. I'll add the rest when I do the line work. Okay, let's do the hair, you guys. So first I'm gonna add some basic shading. So I'm gonna go to, let's start with this layer, turn on Alpha Lock. I'm selecting that pink. I'm getting light brush strokes, and I'm just gonna make it darker, kind of back here beneath her head. Oh, I haven't got a darker color. Darker, more saturated pink. And I'm just gonna darken that kind of underneath there. Just like a little bit of shading. And then I can also go in with a lighter color and add some kind of highlights here, kind of at the tops of those curls, those waves. And then let me do the top of her hair, so that part. I think I did something weird with the ear here. I have the, I don't know, I painted that somehow. Okay, back to the hair. Turn on Alpha Lock. I can go to my color history and grab the same dark pink and maybe kind of make that a little bit darker here at the part on the side. Right here in the bottom of the bun. And then I'm gonna get the lighter color and add a little bit of highlights here on the top of the head, of course the bun. There we go. And then I can go ahead and start adding in some line work. So I'm gonna use this same color, it should still work. And I use the Gritty Tilt brush. I can tell just by looking at it. It's one of my favorites. Gritty Tilt liner. And I'm try and do this quickly for you guys. I'm just gonna add some lines here. That part. These kind of swoop up and back into her bun. Kind of a line there where the bun is. And then some, I meant to do this on I usually do the line work on a new layer, but I kind of messed up and didn't, so I'll just keep, I'll create a new layer. So this happens when I go fast. I kind of forget stuff I usually do. So we'll just add some lines for the hair. Nothing too crazy. And then I also add in some like lighter colored lines as well to show kind of some highlights. And that's how I do my hair when I'm doing it really simply. Kind of the white lines would be like where the highlights are, so kind of like that. Just to give it some more definition. So there, she's got her hair. And then the other thing that I usually do for hair is add some stray hairs. So I'm gonna actually do that on the same layer. Turn off alpha lock, using the same like base color that I've been using. And I think I used the detail liner for this. So we can add some stray hairs there, just little ones, some kind of loose hairs there, some kind of plopping out there. This kind of just makes her hair have more texture and look a little messier too. She's a kid. Maybe I just wouldn't bother with that one. All right, so you get the idea. She's got some hair now. All right, so let me focus on her face for a minute. I'm gonna turn off my sketch because it kind of skews the way you look at things, because you're like, you see this line, you think it's defined enough, and then you turn your sketch off and you're like, oh, there's not enough definition there. So for that, I'm gonna probably just add like a dark line over her eyes. I'm gonna go to this layer that I was using for the nose and everything. And just kind of, oh, that's not dark, nearly dark enough. So that kind of shows that her brows are, you know, her eyelids are down. And then I can even add this, maybe down at the bottom. I don't know if I like that, but I'll try it. So you got to decide if you want to add those lines in you used to define in your sketch or not. And I don't know if I like it on the bottom. I like it on the top. But she does need her little eyelashes. I forget those, so I'm going to do that real quick. And then over here, you can't really see it, but we can maybe make the eyelashes kind of sticking out on the side a little bit. I think that's cute. And yeah, overall it's looking pretty good. I don't know if there's anything else I want to do on the face. I didn't do her freckles. I forgot her freckles. And maybe make her cheeks a little. There we go. All right. All right, cool. She's looking pretty good. All right, so maybe I'll do the little cotton candy. There's some definite things I'd keep refining. Like I think there needs to be some more shadows in here, but for the sake of time, I'm just gonna move on to the cotton candy. So like I said, I was gonna try and add some more texture to this shape. Texture is really important, like edge texture is really important when you're drawing something that is a textured thing. Like this is not a flat, smooth shape like the edge of a face. It's something fluffy and fuzzy. So let's look to see what kind of brushes we can use to make that texture. I've got this brush called Thick Sticky that might work. Let me make it smaller. And I'm just basically like adding to the shape This brush also has like a wet brush kind of a effect, so it pulls colors around, so that's why you see this white kind of popping in. But if I add just some of this texture to the edge, now it starts looking more fluffy and not just like a, you know, flat piece of paper or something like that. So that's how you can make things look more, and I can fill that in. So now it looks a lot more fluffy. And once I've defined the edges, then I can go in and use Alpha Lock to add shading. Maybe a little bit more fluff. That's looking really cool. So I'm gonna turn on Alpha Lock now and I can add some shading. And I can even use the same brush to add in my shading because that'll give the shading some texture too. So I'm just gonna, if I remember actually, the shadows, light's coming from this way. So I'm gonna add a lot of my shadows to this side. We'll just kinda, I don't know.
What brush did you use for the cotton candy?
Yeah, this one's called Thick Sticky. It's also from Gouache Paint Box. It's really textured. I love it a lot. This is what I use for when it's designed to be a brush to get that like really painterly kind of look. It's a really fun brush. So I'm gonna have a lot of shadows. I'm just really lightly kind of laying down strokes because if I go really heavy, it'll do that, which I don't want. I just want to show that texture. So a lot of my brushes I design, so if you use them with a very light touch, you'll show more texture, and then if you go in heavy, it'll be more like thick and filled in. So, you know, we're kind of getting here, and then I'm gonna add a few little shadows kind of this way. And then I'm gonna come in and do some like highlights with like an almost white. Let me choose this color. Go a little lighter. It's like, it's already such a light color, so I don't know, I'm not gonna work it too much, but you get the idea. So that, I mean, that looks enough like cotton candy where if somebody were to look at it, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's cotton candy. That's what I think anyways. And then I need to add a little bit of shadows to the cone. So I'm gonna turn on Alpha Lock there. I'm going to go to my light brush strokes, the one I've been using to do all the shading. I'm just gonna get a little gray and maybe a smaller brush. Get a shadow on that side. I'm also gonna add a little bit of a shadow on this side because I know if I actually get rid of this, it's on a white background. And if I don't know if I'm gonna add a background to this, so I'm just gonna add a little gray to it so it doesn't blend into the background. I'm gonna actually add some darker shadows on this side. Even darker. I kind of like gradually add darker and darker until it's as dark as I want it to be. And then here where the thumb touches it, it needs to have a nice dark shadow. So when things are touching, they need to have like a good shadow really close, and like here as well. There. Cool, I think that looks pretty good. The only thing I really need to add is some more, I'm gonna go into the layer that I used to do the line work on the hair. I tend to put all my line work all in one layer because stuff doesn't really overlap when I'm doing line work. And I'm gonna get this brown color that I use for the nose. And I'm gonna get detail liner just to add some, I'm gonna go even darker there. Yeah, because I need a little bit of definition there and here. And then I can even add some fingernails, which would be like a lighter color. Actually, her fingernail would be here because it's kind of, it's foreshortened, so I don't know if you guys can see that. You can see like a lot of the finger and then just the like crescent kind of the nail. So it wouldn't actually be here because that would mean her finger would look really short. It would be like here, like that. That's why having a reference and looking at something is good. And then I can, a little bit darker. I can add some lines here if I want to show like this part. It's up to you how much detail. You don't have to add in those kind of things. It might make it look too realistic, so maybe I don't want that. But I think I do need something here to show her thing. Her hand is kind of like that part of the hand. I don't know. You'll play around that more, but a little bit of detail on this. And I think I used Gritty Tilt Liner for that. I can turn my sketch back on so I can see where those details would be. And we've got like this kind of belt thing happening. Pockets, other side of the belt. Like bronzy kind of hardware here for her overalls. Just gonna do that real fast. And I think that's pretty good. Like I said, I'll probably go back and add some more to it later. Like the shirt needs some shading, the back of her hair, the glasses would be casting a bit of a shadow. So let me actually try and do that. I'm gonna select the layer. I don't know if this will work, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna create a new layer and I'm gonna fill that layer with kind of like a gray. So since I have that, I selected this layer, so the glasses shape is selected, and now I'm on a new layer. I'm gonna tap it, I'm gonna choose fill layer. And so now there's like a gray layer with the glasses. And I'm gonna set that to multiply. Let me see if I want multiply or color burn. So they do different things. Like multiply will be kind of grayer, color burn saturates and darkens. I probably want somewhere right in the middle, which means I probably shouldn't have used gray. I should have used some other color, like a brown or something. I'll have to go into blend modes more later. And I could move it over. This probably isn't gonna work, but you kind of get what I'm trying to do. I probably have to draw these in by hand, these shadows, but the glasses would cast a shadow on her face, and the shadow would contour the shape of her face. So this isn't exactly happening how I want it to, but you get the idea. So it kind of works. Might not do it on her hair. I don't know. It kind of works. We'll probably go back and rework that later. But yeah, so that you can see how I start with very simple basic shapes and kind of refine and add more and more detail, more shape, more detail, use special brushes that give you texture to create this like disgusted look that my character has. So I'm gonna stop here for now. And if we have any questions, I can take a few questions about what we've done here, and then we'll do a Q&A at the very end if you guys have questions about unrelated stuff or other stuff in Procreate. Any questions?
Someone was just asking, because were you using a couple different, were you using any layer mask techniques there at the end? With the hand and stuff? Just people were asking.
No, actually, I didn't do anything extra special here. I actually, let me isolate out the layer. So this, if you tap, sorry, let me show you that. Anytime I do like fancy little tricks, I need to show you. If you tap and hold the checkbox of one layer, it'll turn off all the other layers and isolate that layer out. So that's what I just did. But instead of, like having the fingers on another layer on top of the cone, because the hand is in front and behind the cone. So instead I just erased away part of the cone. It's just a little bit easier to do that than like have just this part of the hand on a layer above the cone, because the hand is down here. So nothing fancy, just erasing a little bit. So I just erased there and erased there.
Someone was asking on Instagram, do you have a personalized course? I'm not sure. Well, one, I mean, what is talk about what this whole course is, where to find it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. Well, this is a part of the Character Camp series. So if you go to bardotbrush.com/character camp, it's basically, we've been working on this course material, this curriculum all month, and it's all free. It's a part of the Making Art Everyday project. But we take you through figuring out your character's accessories, clothing, their face and body shape, and putting it all together, and their hair, of course. And then we've been working on manipulating our characters, manipulating their ages, which is what we did last week, and also their emotions and things like that. That's what we did this week. So it's really awesome. It's really cool if you follow along with us and you participate in the Facebook group, because everybody's working on the same thing and interacting with each other. But you can of course work on this anytime. It doesn't have to be this month. Like, you can go through all that content and learn all about it at any point in time.
We don't have any questions yet popped up. So I was just saying thank you for your tutorials. They're amazing.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, let me go back to my slides. Like I said, we'll do some more Q&A at the end. I just wanted to say I love seeing what you guys are creating. It's been so fun watching you guys create characters this month, because you guys put so much personality into them, and it's really, really awesome. So please, if you're sharing, tag me. I would love to see what you're doing. Hashtag Bardot Brush. Our account on Instagram is @BardotBrush. My personal account is @LisaBardot. I would love to see it. And if you want to join kind of our community, you can join our Facebook group it's not on this page, but the Making Art Everyday /Bardot Brush Facebook group. And that's where the people that are working on this stuff are posting their work and kind of supporting each other, and it's really, really awesome. So if you want to be more a part of the community, you can join that group, and Jeff, I'm sure, will share a link. Again, I am Lisa Bardot. I own Bardot Brush. I make awesome brushes for Procreate, as well as all kinds of educational material and tutorials to teach you guys how to draw and how to use Procreate. That's the end. So we're going to go ahead and end the tutorial, but we're going to stick around. If you guys want to stick around for a Q&A, we'll go ahead and do that. You can ask away, but thank you so much for joining me this month. It's been so fun. Stay tuned for more character camp stuff probably in the future. I'll probably be expanding on this series at some point, because it's been so much fun doing this with you guys. So thank you so much.